The sun blazed mercilessly over the African savanna as a tiny elephant calf stumbled away from the herd, distracted by a cluster of wildflowers near the watering hole. In the tall grass, a lioness crouched low, her amber eyes locked on the vulnerable target. She had been hunting for 3 days without success, her ribs visible beneath her tawny coat, and this baby elephant represented survival for her and her cubs waiting in the den. The attack came swift and brutal. The lioness exploded from cover, her powerful legs propelling her toward the panicked calf, who trumpeted desperately for help. But the herd was too far away, obscured by acacia trees and unable to hear the frantic cries over the wind. The predator's claws raked across the baby's hindquarters as she lunged, preparing for the killing bite that would end this hunt. Then something impossible happened. A massive shadow fell across them both as a giraffe named Jabari thundered into the scene, his long legs covering ground with surprising speed. Male giraffes can weigh over 3,000 pounds, and Jabari was particularly large, standing nearly 19 feet tall. What happened next defied everything known about giraffe behavior. These gentle giants typically avoid conflict, especially with apex predators. But Jabari had watched this calf playing near the watering hole for weeks. He'd seen the baby's mother carefully guide her young one, teaching patience and caution. Something in the giraffe's ancient brain recognized innocence worth protecting, and he wasn't about to let it be destroyed. With a speed that shocked even the lioness, Jabari swung his massive neck like a battering ram, his head connecting with the predator's ribs with a sickening crack. The lioness flew sideways, tumbling across the dirt and grass, the wind knocked completely from her lungs. She staggered to her feet, confused and hurt, circling back with a furious snarl. This wasn't how hunts were supposed to go. The baby elephant collapsed behind Jabari, bleeding and terrified, but alive. The giraffe positioned himself between predator and prey, stomping his front hooves, each one capable of crushing a lion's skull, while his back legs remained planted. His eyes, normally so gentle and distant, now burned with fierce determination. The lioness made another attempt, trying to dart around the towering defender, but Jabari pivoted with surprising agility. His rear leg lashed out in a devastating kick that caught the lioness in her shoulder, sending her sprawling again. This time, when she rose, something had changed in her eyes. The hunger remained, but so did the growing realization that this meal would cost her everything. Behind them, the elephant herd finally heard the commotion. The matriarch, a wise old female named Nia, came charging through the trees with 5 other adults, their ears spread wide in aggression, their trunks raised and trumpeting warnings that echoed across the plains. The ground literally shook beneath their combined weight as they bore down on the scene. The lioness took one look at the approaching wall of gray flesh and made her choice. Survival meant knowing when to retreat. She limped away into the tall grass. Her hunt failed, her body battered, but her life intact. She would hunt again tomorrow, perhaps find easier prey, perhaps finally catch one of the numerous gazelles that dotted the savanna. Nia reached her baby within seconds, her trunk frantically examining every wound, her deep rumbling calls both scolding and comforting. The other elephants formed a protective circle around mother and calf, while Nia used her trunk to gently lift the little one to his feet. The scratches were painful, but not deep. The baby would heal. Then Nia did something remarkable. She turned to Jabari, who stood nearby, still watching for threats, and approached him slowly. She extended her trunk and gently touched his neck, running it down his long throat in what could only be described as gratitude. The giraffe lowered his head slightly, accepting the gesture, and for a moment, 2 of Africa's most majestic creatures shared an understanding that transcended species. Over the following weeks, something beautiful emerged from that violent encounter. Jabari remained closer to the elephant herd than giraffes typically do. The elephants, in turn, seemed to accept his presence as part of their extended family. When the herd moved to new grazing areas, Jabari often followed at a distance. When Jabari stood beneath his favorite acacia tree, the elephants would pass by without the usual wariness animals show toward one another. The baby elephant, now healing well with only faint scars on his hindquarters, would sometimes approach Jabari at the watering hole. The little one seemed to understand that this towering creature had saved his life, and there was trust in those young eyes. As for the lioness, she was spotted several times in the following months, hunting successfully and feeding her cubs. Nature had balanced itself once more. She had learned respect, not fear, and wisdom about which battles to fight. The savanna continued its ancient rhythms of life and death, predator and prey, but also something else, the unexpected bonds that form when courage meets compassion. In a world where survival often means ruthless competition, Jabari had shown that sometimes the strongest animals are those willing to protect the weakest. Justice on the African plains doesn't always come from the fastest or most ferocious. Sometimes it comes on legs 4 feet tall, delivered by a heart that sees beyond instinct to something greater. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories of animal courage and survival from the wild.